Welcome to the deep dive. We grab a whole stack of sources on a topic, and, well, we try to pull out the most interesting bits for you.
Yeah, the real nuggets of insight.
Exactly. And today, we're getting into something that affects so many people. Weight loss. Specifically, looking at new medications like semaglutide.
Right, but this isn't going to be the usual chat, is it?
No, definitely not the typical eat less, move more conversation. We found some, frankly, surprising ideas that kind of challenge the standard ways we think about
It
this.
really turns things on its head a bit.
It does. So our mission today really is to explore these sources suggesting that the common view, that it's all about food, calories, discipline, might actually be missing the point.
Fundamentally misdirected.
Yeah. Imagine if the big headline wasn't about crushing cravings, but something deeper. We found this line that really stuck with us. What if you weren't broken, just confused?
That hits differently, doesn't it?
Hmm.
Takes away the blame element.
It really does. Okay, so let's unpack that. This bold claim that for ages we've thought weight issues are about food, calories, carbs, or just not having enough willpower.
The standard narrative.
Right. But these sources we looked at, especially the work of someone called Dan Hollis, suggest it's really about, well, something else.
Something underneath the surface.
Exactly. Hollis is pretty clear. Willpower, he says, was never the key for keeping weight off long term.
And it's important to get why he says that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've ever tried white-knuckling it, you know it's tough.
Oh, yeah. Exhausting.
Totally. Hollis's framework points out that our biology, our emotions, these deep habit loops, they're often pushing back really hard. Willpower alone just isn't enough against all that.
So what works instead, according to this view?
It seems to be about insight, like really understanding yourself, plus structure, and tools that actually work with your biology, not against it.
Meeting your biology where it's at. I like that framing.
Yeah, and it makes this whole thing feel less like just taking a drug and more like a human journey,
Yeah.
a process of discovery.
And here's something really interesting Hollis points out. When people relapse, it's often not because they suddenly get overwhelmingly hungry again.
Right. It's not just physical hunger driving it.
He says they relapse into confusion, like the food was maybe covering up something else, and once that fades, they don't know how to handle what's left.
That makes a lot of sense. The underlying patterns are still there.
Okay, so speaking of tools, let's talk about semaglutide itself. Hollis has a really unique take on what it actually does.
Yeah, it's not just the standard "it cuts your appetite" line.
No. He doesn't focus on appetite suppression or melting fat. He puts it like this. It gives you a moment where food stops talking.
Wow.
Yeah. He continues, and for some people, that's the first honest moment they've had in 20 years.
That's quite profound.
Oh,
Food stops talking. It really captures that mental chatter, doesn't it?
it does. So what's the big deal about this silence?
Well, think about it. Semaglutide works on those satiety signals in the brain, right?
Mm.
It basically turns down the volume on the constant thoughts about food, the physical urges.
Okay.
And that creates this gap, this quiet space. And in that space, you suddenly get to see what else is going on. What emotions pop up when eating isn't the default response.
So things you might normally soothe with food.
Exactly. Anxiety, loneliness, boredom, feeling overwhelmed, they can surface. And that quiet, well, it can be peaceful for some, but honestly pretty uncomfortable for others. You're face to face with things you might have been avoiding.
Which leads right to the next big point Hollis makes. If the drug gives you this quiet space, then what?
Right. What do?
He identifies this as the core problem.
Yeah.
People often struggle not because the medication failed, but because, and this is his phrase, no one taught them what to do with the quiet.
That's powerful.
He says the silence can actually scare people. It feels like they've lost their favorite lie, that go-to comfort or distraction.
That resonates. It's like taking away a crutch. Even if the crutch wasn't helping you walk properly, you still feel its absence.
Precisely. And this connects straight to what people call emotional weight, doesn't it?
Absolutely. People eat for so many reasons beyond physical hunger. Stress, sadness, feeling disconnected, maybe even just habit.
So the semaglutide deals with the physical hunger signal.
Yes, it dials those down. But if you don't have strategies or support for the emotional triggers, the underlying reasons you reached for food in the first place,
Then relapse becomes likely.
that's what the sources strongly suggest. The quiet reveals the need, but it doesn't automatically fix it. You're left kind of vulnerable in a way without new tools.
Okay, so that brings us to the solution part. If the quiet is the challenge, what does Hollis suggest? How do you navigate that space?
He talks about building scaffolding in the space semaglutide opens. It's a great image.
Scaffolding, like support structures while you rebuild.
Exactly. His approach isn't just about weight loss. He calls it rewriting the story people were too full to finish. It's about building inner architecture.
Inner architecture. Okay, let's break that down. What does that actually involve, according to his framework?
Well, his human-centered framework has several key pieces. First is start with silence.
Okay, embrace the quiet.
Yes, but actively. He says, when the cravings stop, the truth begins. So the first step is just observing. Noticing the feelings that come up without immediately trying to fix them or eat over them. Maybe journaling, maybe just sitting with them.
Listening, basically.
Right. Then rewire the rituals. This is crucial. Food rituals like snacking while watching TV or always having dessert. These are wired into our brains.
Neurological pathways, yeah.
The drug helps with the hunger, but the habit is still there. So the idea is to consciously replace old eating rituals with new, healthier ones. Maybe a walk, calling a friend, some deep breaths.
Using the quiet space to see the habit clearly and then change it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Semaglutide makes it easier to see it and do it. Next up is anchor identity before the weight drops.
Okay, what does that mean, identity work?
Yeah, this is about the invisible stuff. It's asking, who am I becoming? It's about starting to see yourself, think of yourself as someone who lives healthfully before all the weight is gone.
So it's not just about the number on the scale.
Far from it. Without that internal identity shift, he suggests the brain can kind of sabotage your progress because the old you feels more familiar, safer.
That makes sense. Then there's pace the process. I think I know where this is going.
Probably. No crash dieting. He calls it metabolic pacing. The idea is that slower, steadier change is more sustainable. Fast results don't mean lasting results, he says. Pacing is protection.
Protection for your metabolism?
Yeah.
And maybe emotionally, too?
Both. Giving your body time for hormones to adjust, avoiding that metabolic slowdown, and giving your mind and emotions time to integrate the changes. Too fast can lead to feeling overwhelmed and collapsing back.
Okay, what else?
Super important. Plan the off-ramp from day one.
Meaning plan for eventually stopping the medication.
Exactly. He stresses that the real work begins after the medication. So the whole process is about building habits and coping skills that will last beyond the injections, addressing the patterns that will likely resurface when the drug's effects fade.
So you're not left hanging when the medication stops?
Precisely. And to do all this, you need to build the scaffolding. This echoes the earlier point. Support isn't just nice to have. He calls it neurobiological scaffolding.
Neurobiological.
Meaning support helps literally build and reinforce the new neural pathways for these healthier habits. This includes emotional support, maybe a community, structure, even the right language. As he notes, humans deliver meaning. We need connection.
Connection helps rewire the brain, essentially.
That's the idea. And finally, rewrite the narrative. This ties back to the identity piece. It's about changing the stories you tell yourself.
About past failures, food, self-worth.
All of it. Breaking down those old beliefs like, I always fail, or I don't deserve to be healthy. Because, as Hollis puts it, no amount of medication can sustain a story that says, I don't deserve this.
Wow. That's a really comprehensive way of looking at it. It sounds much less like a simple prescription and more like a whole process.
Definitely. He explicitly frames it as a conversation, not a prescription, and emphasizes it's a structured process with real human support.
Starting with alignment, not shame. That feels like a key difference.
A huge difference for many people.
So wrapping up this deep dive, the big takeaway seems to be, it really wasn't just about the food, was it? Not in the simple sense, anyway.
No, not about just counting calories or having more willpower. It's deeper.
It's about tackling those underlying emotional patterns, the confusion, learning how to handle that quiet space tools like semaglutide can create.
And then actively building that inner architecture, that scaffolding, to support lasting change.
A totally different perspective.
It really is. And it makes you wonder, doesn't it? If creating that silence, stepping back from a dominant coping mechanism or distraction and facing the underlying confusion can be so transformative for something like weight.
Yeah.
Well, what other areas of your life might benefit from that? From pausing, really listening to the quiet, and maybe realizing the problem you thought you were solving wasn't the real problem at all.